This will be a 45-minute guided moving sequence, standing yoga in the style of mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR. Some things to keep in mind during this 45-minute sequence is that this is a gentle yoga sequence. So being careful of your body's limits today and not going beyond those limits. Finding yourself in mountain pose, or standing with feet on the ground, arms at the side, and just being here, standing with the dignity of a mountain. Being with the breathing here. Lifting the arms up, out in front, and up all the way towards the ceiling if the body will allow. If not, just meeting your limit. And being with the movement as it happens, and the changes in the body that occur when you move. And what does the body have to do to hold this position here? And the micro movements in the body, keeping balance. And lowering the arms back down towards the sides, and then resting at the sides of the body. Being here for a moment in standing pose or mountain pose, and then lifting the arms out to the side so that the body forms a letter T. Being with the experience in the body. Not so much focus on getting the movement right, but what occurs in the body when you move in this way. And then lowering the arms back down to the sides, resting and standing in mountain pose. Noticing any tension in the body. And as we do these movements, there may be thoughts that come up, and just recognizing these as thoughts, as occurrences in the mind, in the body, and as best you can, without judging yourself, staying close to the experience of the movement. So with that in mind, lifting the right arm, just the right arm, up towards the ceiling, and reaching up within your limit, as if you're reaching to grab an apple off a tree. And you might even lift your left heel up to help get a little more reach. And seeing what happens in the right foot, the right shoulder, the left shoulder, the abdomen, as you reach up for this apple. If your left heel was off the ground, lowering the left heel and then lowering the right arm, coming back to rest. Standing here in mountain for a moment, and then lifting the left arm up towards the ceiling within your limits, and reaching up for an apple on this side. And the right heel may come off the ground. There might be changes in the left hip or the left foot. Lowering the right heel and letting the left arm come down to rest. Raising both arms up towards the ceiling, meeting your limit. And your limit may be different depending on what day you're doing this or what time, but finding your limit as of right now. And with your arms up towards the ceiling, bending over to the right side so that there's an arch in the body. There's sort of a contraction in the right oblique and the right side, and an extension in the left side. Again, being gentle with the self and not going beyond your limit. Coming back to center with the arms still raised, and leaning over to the left so that the right oblique is extended and the left is contracted. Holding here for a moment and coming back to center, allowing the arms to rest at the sides. And paying attention to any heat that may be starting to occur in the body as a reaction to these movements. Or maybe there isn't heat, maybe it's tingling, or maybe it's neutral. Whatever's here for you, just being with what is here. And moving into shoulder rolls, so bringing both shoulders back so that the shoulder blades come closer together, and then lifting the shoulders up and forward, making forward circles with the shoulders. Doing this for a moment with your own breathing. pausing, and then reversing so that the shoulders are rotating backwards. Backwards circles. Staying very close to the experience in the body. And coming to rest in mountain pose or standing. Being with the consequences of having done this movement. What changes are occurring in the body. The next movement is called neck roll, and it's important to pay very close attention to your own limit because the neck is a common place for injury. So if you're unable to do this one, you can just continue in mountain pose or be very gentle with your limits in this movement. So if you can, if the body will allow, bringing the face down, the chin down towards the chest, and then rotating left in circles, neck circles. Being very gentle with your limits, not going beyond. Pausing here and then reversing the direction. Staying close to the experience itself. Not so much the thoughts about the experience or even getting the movement right, but the experience itself. And coming to rest in mountain or standing pose, feet on the ground, arms resting at the sides, neck straight, the eyes out front. And again, lifting the arms up to the side so that the body is forming the letter T. Being with what is here, maybe heat or tingling, discomfort or comfort, ease or difficulty. And then lifting the left leg out to the side, up off the ground. If you're unable to do this, you can keep the heel on the ground or the toe on the ground to help maintain balance. Being with the micro movements the body needs to make to keep the balance. Maybe at the heel of the planted foot, the base of the foot, the knee, micro movements in the upper body. It may be helpful to pick one spot to rest your gaze. Can help with balance. And if your left foot was off the ground, returning it to the ground, holding here for a moment, and then releasing the arms down, coming back to rest or mountain. Raising the arms up again to form a letter T. Holding here for a moment, being with the experience, and then we'll be doing what we did on the other side, but before we do so, just noticing if you make the intention to shift the weight to the left leg with the idea of raising the right leg without doing the movement, just making the attention in your mind or your heart, notice what happens in the body just with the intention of doing this movement. You may find that the body starts to prepare and even shift weight. So shifting weight onto the left foot and raising the right foot out, off the ground, out to the side, if the body will allow. If you need to, you can keep the heel or the toe resting on the ground. If you have to lower your arms for a moment, you can. And you have the option to raise the arms again or keep them rested at the side. And if your right leg is off the ground, lowering to the ground and bringing the arms back down to rest. Being with the consequences of having done this movement. It may be possible that there's some tension or relief in the body, some heat. Maybe you're starting to sweat a little, or maybe not. But whatever the experience is, just inviting it to be part of this experience of movement. And being with what is here. Placing the hands on the hips so that the elbows are jutted out. And rotating the upper body to the right so that you're sort of looking over the right shoulder. And the hip might need to open up a little to allow the torso to do this. Breathing here. finding your limit, not going beyond. And if the body and the neck will allow, you can rotate the neck so that it's almost looking behind you. But if it's too much tension on the neck, you can stay here. Rotating the hip back to center so that the body is facing forward, the head and neck are facing straight ahead, and with your arms still resting on your hips, opening the hip to the left and rotating the torso to the left, and the head and neck are looking over the left shoulder. Breathing here. If the head and neck will allow, rotating so that your gaze is almost fully behind you. But if not, if this is too much, then just staying with the gaze over the left shoulder. And being curious, like what has to happen in the feet, what has to happen in the knees, what has to happen in the abdomen for you to be able to make this movement. And coming back to center and releasing the hands off the hips, coming back to standing pose or mountain pose. Moving into what is sometimes called a forward fold. So, bending over at the waist, and you may need to bend your knees a little to be able to bring the torso down towards the ground. Allowing the arms to sag or just rest. Seeing if you can keep the back straight, the spine straight. And if the body and the head will allow, you can bring your head closer to your knees, or you can stay here if this is your limit for today. Noticing any changes in the body, maybe this is comfortable for you or uncomfortable. And if at any point the body is telling you it's too much, you can always come back to mountain. But if you are in this forward fold, and your body will allow for more, you can lift your right arm out straight towards the wall in front of you. You can place the opposite hand, the one that is not lifted, on the shin to support. And keeping the back straight. holding here for a moment. Lowering the right arm back down so that you're in forward fold with the arms hanging. And you can stay here if you'd like, or lift the left arm out straight in front of you. You can use the right arm for support, resting it on the right shin. Breathing. Lowering the left arm. And coming up slowly from this forward fold, rounding the back, and coming up almost one vertebrae at a time, with the last thing to rise being your head and neck. Rising slowly in this way can help reduce lightheadedness. And being here for a moment in standing pose or mountain. Again, being with any heat that might be starting to rise in the body, or maybe there's a looseness, you might feel looseness or tight, comfort or discomfort. Whatever you're feeling doesn't necessarily matter too much. What's most important is the mindfulness of what is here. So whatever is here, being mindful, being aware. Bending the knees and coming to a position where, almost as if you're about to sit into a chair. So the butt will stick out and back, trying to keep the balance in the center. And coming to almost a seated posture without the chair there. And if it's too difficult, you can shift the weight forward a little, which will take some of the weight away, and lifting the arms out straight in front. So sort of in this half crouch with the arms out front, and being with what's here. Maybe there's shaking, maybe there's heat. Breathing. Breathing. Finding your limit. If you have to come to standing for a moment, you can. And then coming back to this half-seated position with the arms out straight. Noticing any heat that might be building. Coming back to standing. Lowering the arms. Being with the consequences of having done this movement. You may be noticing relief. We're building heat and then allowing rest. Lifting the arms up towards the ceiling and interlocking the fingers above the head if the body will allow. And if you're able to, shifting the weight to the right foot and lifting the left knee out and the left foot resting on the right inner thigh. Or if this is too difficult, you can rest it on the inner knee or the inside of the calf. Finding your limit and breathing here. If you have to tap the left foot on the ground for a moment to regain balance, you can. Breathing. Lowering the left foot to the ground, and with your arms still up and your fingers interlocked, shifting the weight to the left foot and bringing the right knee up, resting the right foot on the inner thigh or knee or shin of the left leg. With the back straight, breathing. Being here with whatever is here. If you have to tap the right foot on the ground to maintain balance for a moment, that's okay. Releasing the right foot, placing it back down on the ground, and releasing the arms, coming back to standing pose or mountain pose. What's here now in the body? What's here now in the mind? And that's a question that can be very helpful. What's here now? So we'll be transitioning into sitting down on the floor if your body will allow. But making this movement from standing to sitting on the floor with awareness, being aware of the transition itself. So, from a sitting on the floor position, allowing the knees to fall out to the side and bringing the bottom of the feet together, the bottom of the left foot up against the bottom of the right foot. You can clasp your hands around the feet. And straightening the back. And bringing the heels in as close to the groin as they'll go. Finding your limit. And allowing the knees to fall gently towards the floor. So that there's a stretch in the groin area, but not going beyond your limit. And if you care to, if the body will allow, you can bring the head gently forward in the direction of the feet. Being careful of your limit. Bringing the head back up if you had brought it towards the feet. And with a straight back, letting the grasp of the hands go and keeping the right foot where it is, but allowing the left leg to go out straight in front. So that the inside or the bottom of the right foot is resting near the left thigh. And lifting the arms up towards the ceiling within your limits. And letting them fall gently to the right so that there's a small arch. And then letting them fall gently to the left. Being careful of your limits. Bringing the arms to center, maybe allowing them to rest in the lap for a moment. And with the legs still out straight, if the body will allow and within your limits, bringing both hands out and grasping around the shin and calf of the left leg, or the knee if that's as far as you can go, or all the way out to the foot or toes if you're able to. Breathing here. And you can stay here, or if your body will allow, you can bring your head and neck down towards the knee. And if your head can go as far as touching the knee, that's great. If not, you can just stay here. And coming back to center, bringing the left foot back in so that the bottom of the feet are touching each other, with the knees falling out to the sides. And this time, stretching the right leg out straight in front, with the left foot still where it was, and at this point, near or up against the inside of the right thigh. The left leg, allowing it to fall gently to the side, and reaching out with the hands to the right knee or the right shin. You can hold on to the shin or around the calf, or all the way out to the foot if your body will allow. Breathing here. Being with what is here. And if the head and neck will allow, you can bring your head down towards the knee, and you can go as far as the forehead touching the knee, or you can stay where you were if that's as far as the body will go today. Just finding your own limit. And releasing the arms if they were around the shin or the toes. Coming back to center and transitioning into lying down position on your back, but being with the transition as it happens. Breathing here, being with what is here in the body now. There may be tightness or heat or relief, looseness, or something else, or neutral. Just being with what is here for you now in the body. Lying here, breathing. Inhabiting this body, this being here. And taking the last few moments of this guided meditation, guided movement, to thank yourself, giving thanks to yourself for taking this time to take care of your body, to take care of your mind. Jon Kabat-Zinn calls this a radical act of kindness towards the self. So recognizing that truth, that you are being kind to yourself when you do this.